Welcome to this week's Inquisition with Paddy McGuire 2000. Is that 2000? Paddy McGuire, anyway. An actual friend of mine. I actually have friends. A guy from Northern Ireland. He's just back into the hobby. He's a great guy. Well, I've got to say that because he's coming on. He's not the right guy. So we'll get Paddy on when he sees it when they're live. And then hopefully Casey will turn up sometime this century. And we'll get back to it, folks. How has all your Easter been? Good to see that J.D. Vance went to see the Pope, killed him. There's a story right there. There's Penn. He likes to keep it real. Hope he's well. Hope you're all well today as well, folks. It's actually a fucking glorious day. How are you, Mr. Penn?
The famous J.D. Vance went to Rome to see the Pope. The famous J.D. Vance went to Rome to see the Pope. The famous J.D. Vance went to Rome to see the Pope, and he fucking killed him off. As a Catholic, I should not be saying that.
But are you a Catholic or are you an actual Catholic? Do you go to chapel? Do you not eat fish on a Friday?
Fucking chapel. Jesus.
I know, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
I'm not. I'm not remotely religious. I was I was indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah. I'll do the old deathbed turn and hedge my bets.
Exactly that. What? Come on, Sam. It's us. You know there's going to be something not quite right going on. Just don't report us to Instagram and get us banned, yeah?
Yeah, do it and we'll fucking poke your eyes out, you spetty fucking bastard. So how's your week been, Penn? How was you were in the office today? How was it getting back from London, mate?
Shit. It was raining all the way in. It was raining getting off the train, and it was just a load of shit. Sometimes going to an office just feels like a waste of a day.
Yeah. It is because fucking you have to leave dead early in the morning and then it's just a pain in the arse. Just an absolute pain in the arse.
Yep.
I'm so thankful that I don't have to go into the office anymore.
No, it's just long. Like I had to train some people up on something. Just didn't have any time to do anything. Just one of them. So you've got to take it on the chin once a month. Like Sam's mum.
Yay!
Oh,
There's one for your Bengals card. It's Paddy Mac, an actual friend of mine, Sam. He is an actual friend, I actually know him. Then there he is there, the man, the myth, the legend, Paddy McGuire.
Tom's got no mates. I don't believe this is real.
How's it going? Apologies there for being late there. I just had a phone call come through that I had to deal with, so apologies.
No, you're all right, Paddy. You're all right. It's usually Casey that sweats, so it's actually quite refreshing when the guest is late for change. So, folk that don't know you, this is Paddy McGuire. Just give yourself a wee backstory about your hobby journey and that, my man.
Oh, wow. Craigie, I think I started, I think it was about 14 or 15, back when it was just called Warhammer and Warhammer 40k. I took a fancy into some Bretonian knights, but realized that they were really boring. So I ended up collecting a Skaven army.
Good man. That's what I've got right here.
Yeah, this was back whenever there was a Warhammer store at the back of Castle Court in Belfast. And I used to have to walk through it on my way sort of home from school. And I always anytime I was passing, I always seen people playing. And I've always had I've always been into sort of sci-fi and fantasy, sort of movies and books and stuff. So I just kind of started going in. The guys in there were really cool. Most of the guys in all the Warhammer stores tend to be. They're really knowledgeable. They're really encouraging and stuff. And after a while, I realized that the game just kind of was too complicated for me, or it went over my head. But I really, really enjoyed kind of painting. I found the painting to be really, really therapeutic. As a normal sort of 14-year-old boy with anger issues and hormonal issues, I found it a real kind of therapeutic, helped me chill out. I could sit and paint and not worry about things. And then I think just kind of as I got older, I think kind of, sort of digital gaming kind of took over. I got my first PlayStation and started playing all those kind of digital games, and that sort of took me away from the hobby
So,
until quite recently there.
so what got you into the Warhammer? Was it a friend or a family member that got you into it, or was it just something that you seen walking by
It's
Castle
literally,
Court?
yeah, just literally walking past the store. I went in and sort of went, "What's all this about?" And they sort of watched a few guys playing games, watched a few guys painting, got talking to the owner and the people in the place. And then it just became like a wee sort of habit, as I would walk through Castle Court, I would always stop in and see what was new. Um, I remember getting really, really excited actually because this has come back a while. Schaefer's Last Chancers.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was the last set. It was the last set that I bought before I left the hobby. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. It was like, six or seven models. They were one complete army. You could sort of just use those models back when they were like metal.
Yeah.
And heavy, and they were hefty, and they felt awesome. I remember spending ages painting them, a real, real long time. Had them looking absolutely amazing. And never once, never once had a game with using them, but they sat on my windowsill for years, kind of just looking awesome.
Have you still got them?
And Casey, sorry.
The
No, I don't. I don't. And you know what? I've actually looked. I've seen them on eBay quite a few times, but they're quite expensive. So they are. I wouldn't mind getting an old set and just kind of repainting them again, but I lost them over the years. Just moving from one place, moving from student accommodation and back home and stuff again. They just get lost somewhere in that journey.
That was a blinding little squad. Sorry, Dunk, I had to jump in there with that because I remember that squad. I never picked them up. I was gutted I never picked them up because, again, same thing. See them online now, and like per mini is nearly the price of the box.
Yeah, the crazy money now. Like, so they are.
Sorry.
And then you go back in. What got you back into the hobby? I know that you've got two young boys. Was it having the boys, or was it lockdown, or what was it that got you back into it, Paddy?
No, so my young fella, my oldest boy, is 14, and he's always had this thing where he kind of like, if he's into something, he fully gets into it. And he would have been mad for like Soviet era Russia stuff and kind of, history, Napoleonic era. And then out of the blue, he started getting into Warhammer and watching like Warhammer lore videos. And Duncan, you kind of sent him the Horus Heresy books on
Yep.
on Amazon and stuff. So the kid, like, he's mad for the lore. He understands he tells me stories, characters, and can go back into like so much origin stuff with them. And so we just sort of thought, I remember playing years ago, asked him if he wanted to go and have a wee look at maybe getting some models. And that was us, straight into the Warhammer store in Derry, which was great. It hadn't long opened. I think they just celebrated their 1 year anniversary there, so they did. So I think we were in kind of really at the start of that. Got ourselves a wee ultimate starter kit, and I thought, oh, that'd be grand. He'd be getting into it whenever, and he's mad for the Ultramarines. So I thought, perfect. He'll paint Ultramarines, and I just paint these Tyranids just as kind of have something to play with them. And then just it has spiraled again. I'm back to having a full array of a sea of grey kind of staring at me from the shelf over here, and kind of more paint than I can count, and so I painted those Tyranids. I painted that wee starter set of Tyranids, and then it has just spiraled from there. So it has. I'm now kind of fully on board. I have quite a few sort of guards. So I've always been into the guard. I like that sci-fi, but I also like the fact that they're human. It's getting worse now. Actually, I actually started collecting the Hatchet Combat Patrols weekly magazines, and so I'm going to have 9 combat trolls that I don't know what to do with. but I'm trading the ones I don't want to keep for other models. So I recently turned the Eldari Combat Patrol into two squads of Tempestuous Aquilons. So
That's not bad at
that's
all.
what it's all about.
How
Yeah.
how then have you found it, like from back in the days as a kid, from what you remember to now so like from your 14-year-old journey to now your 14-year-old's journey, and how it's all sort of changed? Because that's something I'm always interested in sort of I know myself how I feel about it, but just sort of how have you found it? Has it been like, oh my god, this has changed so much, or is it like, do you feel like you've sort of just gotten back into your favorite pair of comfortable slippers?
Do you know what? Actually, so the first time around, obviously, it was all very much painting. And this time, obviously, the wee man kind of wanting to play. I've spent a lot more time actually learning the rules, learning how to play. Maybe it's just me getting older, but it doesn't seem as complicated as what it did way back then. I don't know if whether that's a conscious thing, where they've kind of simplified a lot of the gameplay, or they've done a lot more kind of this sort of step by step learning, or so I'm kind of in that cusp now where actually I quite enjoy playing the game now as well.
That's good. That's good, because if you found it a bit difficult to start off with back in your younger days, then if you're enjoying it, that's obviously going to also mean you're sitting down, you're playing it with your kid. Your kid's going to enjoy it.
Yeah,
Casey,
yeah.
a question to you, Casey. So what Paddy said there, like, is it simpler now compared to how it was, or is it just because, like, we've all grown up and we can understand things a bit better now that it seems
Um,
more simpler?
So I would say there's a lot more to keep on top of nowadays. I started, for Paddy, you don't know, I started back in, again, same sort of time period as you. I played a lot more back then, and I personally think the rules were probably early 2000s were a bit simpler. Like, you had your squad rules. There was none of this command points. There was none of this secondary objectives or anything like that. I think the way they've slimmed down a lot of the profiles, a lot of the dice rolls and stuff is quite good. But it's a lot more to sort of keep flowing. You're spinning more plates, I think, would be the best way of describing it. Like, playing it back in the day, you'd have one table set up, one game objective, and then it's just trying to figure out what your army's doing against the other army. Whereas now it's a bit more like, I've got to capture this point, I've got to kill that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. So it's different, and it's different for a good reason. But it's just a bit more spinning plates.
And I must say, Paddy, like, you and me shared pictures of each other on private messenger. Your painting's absolutely fantastic, because
So
as though you've actually not stopped painting.
right on, because you posted out on the advert for the show. You literally took my worst models. You took my nightmare of posting my oh god. If anybody out there listening ever goes down to the store and buys Minotaur and varnish, just kick yourself. Um, so that wee Space Marine model you posted, that is basically
I had to post it.
I have to explain this. So, and the big box of Tyranids that was in my that was sitting in my what do you call it, the in beside the water tank, to try and dry off the olive oil that I had to coat them in order to turn them from frosty white back to some sense of color. I followed those instructions on that can to an absolute T. There is, I had the can in hot water. I was shaking it for 20 odd minutes. I give it the wee test spray before spraying it on the models. Done everything perfect. And you can imagine my sheer horror as all that work that me and my son had both put in painting all those models, and we waited until they were all painted before we sprayed them. And then to watch them slowly but surely turn in this snow white, frosty appearance. He, my young fella, was like, he was devastated. He thought that they were ruined, you know. So my painting is a lot better.
Well, those were the pictures that they're the only pictures that you sent me, and because you don't post anything on your Instagram, usually I just go on and take pictures for people's Instagram.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so yeah, you've only got yourself to blame, Paddy. But I must say, like, your painting though, it's leaps and bounds. Like, it is so good. So, and did you find yourself getting back into it easier? Like you would remember like certain techniques, or was it just you were like eating YouTube tutorials and stuff like that?
Yeah, look, it's sort of the paints. I don't remember all the different types of paint from back then. You know, I remember kind of just basically having paints and then having to use techniques to get kind of paints to do certain things. You know what I mean? Like taking a base paint and then watering it down. Whereas now you buy contrast paints or kind of, dry brushing to kind of get the different effects. Whereas I've found now there's a lot of different types of paint you can buy that do all those things that you used to have to use techniques for back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, even taking a base paint and pouring some sand into it to make to do your basing. Whereas now you actually have paints that are designed out. I know Citadel anyway. I don't really kind of use too many others, but so yeah, I'm using a lot more different styles of paint rather than the kind of different techniques that I used to use. But I'm a lot more fussy with brushes than I used to be. Remember, I think back in the day I used two brushes, a big brush and a wee brush. Whereas now I'm sitting here and I think of 40 odd brushes, of all different styles and some ridiculous ones that look like it's a paintbrush holding one single strand of hair. To be honest, but
That is, I think, yeah, you are right there. The change in everything from back in the day is insane, isn't it? Like and even down to, like you're saying, of brushes and the brush care and all of that sort of stuff that years ago we wouldn't have thought about. You just get your starter brush, beat the crap out of it, paint it whatever, and then just look at it like, oh, it's dead.
Yeah, then buy another one.
Yeah.
Some of the brushes out there, are absolutely mental. But probably the best brushes out there in the market just now are orange brushes, which are sponsors of the Inquisition. Now, if you're in the UK, and you're looking if you're looking for good quality brushes, use Inquisition capital letters, 10% off. And if you're in the UK, free postage.
Oh, nice.
Can you beat that? Can you beat a wee post? A wee bit of. Can you beat a wee plug for the old sponsors?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's so much handier now that store is in Derry, because like the nearest Games Workshop to us apart from the one in Derry would have been Belfast, but you've also got more and more wee shops popping up all over the place now as well. There's one in Coleraine, and I know there's another one in Derry. Some stupid name, some like pop.
Are you thinking Puka Puka?
Aye, Puka. Aye.
So it's really good. It's amazing. They're not really. It's not really a shop per se. It's more of it's a gaming sort of center.
Yeah.
They do a lot of kind of the tabletop card based games. But I do know they do sell some stuff.
Yeah.
So they do. Probably not the range of stuff that you would get in a Warhammer store, but I mean it's great to see. It's great to see other wee stores out there, and as much as it's great to have a Warhammer store, but it's nice to see kind of the wee independent guys getting in on the act as well.
Yeah, if you've not been up to the one in Coleraine, Paddy, you should definitely go up to the one in Coleraine. They are a good shop. That.
Yeah, we did. We actually went up. Me and the boy went up to look at picking up some stuff that we'd kind of saved a bit of money for. And the day we arrived, they were closed for some reason. So we were standing outside, rather disappointed. But we did have a good old look in through the windows and stuff, and it definitely looks like a well stocked store. So
And it's actually quite deceptive because through the back there's a massive space through the back where they play games as well. So it's like
Yeah.
as I say to the old wife, it's bigger than what it looks.
Hey, that's on your bingo cards, ladies and gents.
I think it's the one thing that the store in Derry actually is kind of missing is they don't have a lot of table space. So I was in chatting to the guy. I want to say Kieran. I don't know if it's Kieran or I think it is Kieran. I was in chatting to him, and he's actually sort of kind of thinking of running a kill team league because he can get 3 games of kill team going in the store. So he's going to start kind of promoting a bit of a kill team league to try and get people in, kind of playing in the store, which is there's something nice about playing in a store as well, especially when when you've kind of that bit of through traffic, you've kind of a lot sort of, the guys that run the stores have so much knowledge. It's fantastic. So, and I've always found them to be brilliant and really helpful. And the guy who runs the dairy stores, is no different. He's a good lad. Like, do you know what I mean?
And what if you were to participate in this kill team league? What would you run?
Well, that's what the tempestuous cycle ones are for. So it would definitely be guard. Like, it's always going to be guard. I'm a horde army kind of guy. And I don't know. As much as I love sci-fi, I do like I like the kind of the wee bit more kind of based in reality that you get with kind of with the guard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's because we all loved Aliens when we were wee.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Yeah, big time. Do you know what I mean?
Aliens, Starship Troopers, all of that. It's ridiculous, but it's because it's just normal people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if I participate in this, I'll run my bloodied kill team.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
They're not
There you
painted,
go.
they're built. They might be primed, so therefore.
You know what though, this is good to hear because I've said it before in my local area. There's loads going on, so there's the scene is that good where you guys are. It's quality to hear that there's enough going on to keep you guys entertained and keep you occupied with it all.
Well, that's the thing. Like where we are, like it is quite rural and things are quite spread out, but there is quite a few wee gaming hobby spots kicking about. Like I know there's Mid Ulster Games. They run games I think every weekend or twice a month, and then you've got the Donegal.
Once a month.
Once a month, you've got the Donegal Dice Winners that run a game every Thursday, but then you've got the Letterkenny Gamers Guild who do an event once a month as well. So it is good that you don't need to rely on the kind of Warhammer stores. There is those wee stores, those wee kind of hobby drips kicking about as well.
Yeah. Do you guys find that your groups that as proper competitive, like, because from what I've seen around in my area, you go to the store and they'll just play a game, and there's no sort of real fuss about it being a competitive game. They won't throw the objective markers down, and they won't go so hard as like all of this tournament stuff that you get going on in places. I don't know if it's like anywhere else does it, because it's like in my area there just seems to be loads of competitive style games rather than just you've got an army, I've got an army, let's beat the shit out of each other and see who's standing.
I think I'll jump in here first, Paddy. I think it really depends on who you're playing against. Like I've played against a few people in Donegal Dice Winners, and we do objectives and all that good stuff. Like we've had Shane and we've had Mark on, but I think when I'm playing against people, a few of them are play competitively, so they're maybe wanting to try something out. So they will play that wee bit more competitive, and I'll just throw my guys on and see how long they can last. And especially playing somebody that maybe isn't as skilled as me, I can maybe throw some Hail Marys that they maybe wouldn't expect. But then maybe with the Letterkenny Gamers Guild, you've got 3 hours really to get a game done. So it's just like, let's just get this down and let's see how we can rock. What about you, Paddy?
Well, I've had quite a few games at Mid Ulster Gaming, and kind of quite competitive, to be honest. I've played a couple of guys that were younger than me, and obviously they were keen to win, so they played hard. I played a guy kind of the last time I was there. I played a guy who had some international experience and stuff, had played some big competitions, and he absolutely annihilated me. So he did, which was not fun. But one of those things. It was like I was so happy to come off the board, having kind of wiped out one single squad of him. But then in the same as that, my young fella has played a few games, and he's too gung ho. He charges in with Terminators and does random things that you're like, what are you doing? Think. But he's also then had a few times when kind of older members. The last time there, one of the older guys kind of really took him by the hand and showed him through, went real easy on him, and he came away from that absolutely buzzing. He didn't win, but he had so much fun, and there's that element as well. Do you know what I mean? There's the chance to go in and be really competitive if you want to be, but then there's also the chance to just go in and just have the fun and kind of, I think with certainly with me and Joshua, we're both still very much learners or beginners, and people see that and appreciate it, and probably go a wee bit easier just to kind of encourage you into the hobby more and to stick at things.
That's good.
Who's the better player, you and Josh? Who wins more games?
Me at the moment, but it's I think he's getting there. He's not. He's kind of he's very, very gung ho, so he's quite easy to read. He's just going to send everything he has at you, so you just sit back and kind of bomb him with artillery pieces until he goes away again.
Jesse?
But he's actually been like, I talk every now and again about my lad who's 6, and although he sees me doing this, he sees me painting and trying to figure out how to play, he loves going to the store, getting his free mini, paints it like utter shite, but he is so over the moon that he's got a free toy, he's doing something with his dad, and that he's actually doing something a bit creative. How have you found the dad aspect of it? Because I can imagine sometimes it can be a bit like, Dad, we got to go out and buy this, and your part of you's like, that's a lot of money to be separating from. But then also knowing that you and your son are spending more time together, you're doing something new together and different.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? Actually, I think it's maybe me that needs to rein in the spending, to be honest. Every time I go in that bloody store, I walk out kind of £100 or so later, but he has certainly spent all of his communion money on Ultramarines as well.
That's what.
But you know what?
That's what communion's for.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It was one of those things, kind of as a dad. I had spent so long. I'm obviously big into sports. Play a lot of sports, coach a lot of sports, and I was always disappointed that none of my 2 boys got into sports. And then I realized that actually, it was me forcing them to be into the stuff that I was like kind of like almost like narrowing my viewpoint. Whereas now I'm so much more open to what he's into, and it's totally broadening kind of my view on and it's so much easier. He's into it, and it's so much easier for me to kind of get into what he's into rather than trying to force him into what I'm into. So at the minute, I'm very much just following him, and if he wants to go to the store, we go to the store. If he wants to go to the gaming sort of plans and stuff, there we go. And it has been really nice. It's been really easy to connect with him over something that we both now enjoy. So
I think that's actually a really good point that you just made, that as dads, I'm the same. I took him to football class for a term of school, and he hated it. And I was getting frustrated that he wasn't enjoying it, trying to figure out what I could do to help him enjoy it and do more with him. And I'd take him out to the park and play football with him. And again, it's the same thing. He'd get to a certain point where he was just bored, didn't want to do it anymore. So it's a funny thing that dads do that, isn't it? That we try and force what we like onto our kids, and just sort of taking that step back and thinking, what are they playing with? What are they enjoying? What are they watching? How can I get involved and encourage that? And yeah, I like that. There you go. I've learned something tonight.
Yeah, took me a long time to get. It took me a long time to realise that with my son Luke as well. Like we tried him with all the sports, and the only sport we never really put him into was rugby. And then he started playing rugby at 15. So there's still hope, Paddy. There's still hope. But Luke fucking hates football and tried him with hurling and boxing and Gaelic football, and but none of that. And then he was playing rugby in the school, and that was him. He played rugby for a good few years, which is weird because I think as fathers we want our sons to be supporting our own teams and sit with them on a Saturday and command the TV from the wife. If there's more than one guy, it's easier than just you yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Well, in fairness,
maybe that,
I have to say it is great that he's not into football because there's already too many St Mirren fans as there is.
we have to chosen few. At least I'm not a highway. Do you know what I mean? At least I'm not a highway.
Hey,
That's the thing.
We're the form team in Scotland.
Yeah. I was speaking to somebody on holiday when I was in Santa Ponsa there a couple of weeks ago, and I know Brendan Rodgers will probably get manager of the year, right? But see, for me, the manager of the year is your manager and your man Ray.
David
He should have been
Gray.
sacked. He should have been sacked before Christmas. And it's so refreshing to have a club that actually stuck with a manager. And he's now get European football. He's a guaranteed European football now. Do you know what I mean? Like, what he's done this season as manager of the year, you're bottom of the league. St Mun's had you in our back pockets for the last 2 seasons. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, man Ray is, for me, he's manager of the year. He's definitely deserved it this year.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I think it's not, you sort of think, obviously he's a club legend as well. Scoring that winner against Rangers in the cup final. He is a legend, and it would have been horrible to have seen them kind of cast him aside. I'm so glad that they actually gave him the time, and then just obviously so glad that he's managed to turn it completely around. We're probably the most complete Hibs team that I've seen in my lifetime, nearly. I think, even to be honest, the football they're playing it's elite level football. It's not like watching kind of Hibs of old or kind of even us kind of 2-3 years ago when we were. Hibs were always a decent team. They always played sort of nice football, or they tried to play nice football. It just wasn't always particularly effective. Whereas now we're playing sexy football, and it's really effective. And the fans are just absolutely buzzing. It's amazing.
It was as though somebody turned off the Aberdeen cheat codes when they went 17 games undefeated, and then St Mirren beat them, and then they just went on a losing streak, and then somebody else went, we know how to play football, and it just clicked. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was always funny, like watching these get beat, and then going on. I was always be a sucker going into the Twitter Hibs page and just watching the fans berate the manager. But fair play at the board, for actually just sticking with them and the players. Because all 3 of us here support shite football teams. Do you know what I mean? Like, you support Bromley, Crystal Palace, Casey.
Oh, my lad is an anomaly for football, right? And speaking of which, we're 1-0 down already. Go on, Crystal Palace, with shit. So yeah, I support Crystal Palace. My lad likes to try and follow as many teams as he can. So Palace through me. Bromley in League 2 because we lived in Bromley when he was tiny. Peterborough in League 1 because that's now where we live. And Sunderland because the in-laws family are all from Sunderland. He's got the perfect accumulator every week. But it will never come off. It will never come off.
Honestly, you should be putting like £4 in that every week, because 1 week at
every week.
It'll be Palace or Sunderland that let it down every time, I guarantee it. Although
but the one time it comes off, the odds will be that fantastic. It'll pay for his wedding, so
yeah, it'll pay for itself in the long run.
Yeah, in about 30 years, you'll get one win and it'll just break even.
And then you can go to your missus. I told you it wasn't a waste of money. I've paid all my money back.
If anything, she's the bigger gambler than me. Like she enjoys an accumulator every now and again, but she'll go mad and put like 20 bets on for 50p. And she always has Yeovil to draw. Always Yeovil. I have no idea why, but There you go.
Oh, love it.
That's brilliant. So, Paddy, we're just going to jump off topic here a wee bit, and we'll delve deeper into the Patrick Maguire. Now, I've played rugby against Paddy. Paddy is a bit of a sportsman. He's played rugby for Derry YMCA. He set up the American football team in Derry in the northwest. I think they're called the Vipers or something. Is that right?
That's us, Northwest Vipers.
And how's that going? Because you love your American football as well, Paddy.
I do, yeah. I've always followed the underdogs. So I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and kind of have been since kind of it was on Channel 4 way back in the early 90s. I didn't set up the team. I was one of the first few members, first few players. It was in case anybody's watching or this is recording and people look in. It was my good friend Cahill Curran and his long-suffering girlfriend, soon-to-be wife Frida Gallagher, who set up the Vipers. I do remember I tried to set up a team here in Limvady, the Limvady Lions, but got absolutely zero traction from it whatsoever. It was just me and a couple of guys meeting up at a local park, throwing an American football around, So that idea was shelved, and then weirdly, just kind of I seen the post for the Vipers, and Cahill tells me it was the first response that they received was me saying, "Oh, I'd love to play." And then crikey from there, obviously went wanting to be a quarterback, thinking I'm going to be Billy Big Balls here and throw a football and score loads of touchdowns. And very quickly realised that it's a lot more difficult game to play. Certainly a lot more difficult game to play than rugby. Love playing rugby. And played for, as Duncan was saying there, played for the YM. I played a bit for Strabane at a time, Strabane Devils, their twos, and then the last few years there I played for Limavady, my current hometown club. But the Vipers, graduated through, played for 10 years in the making this year. I played for about 8 of those, and then retired. I'm 43 tomorrow actually. So just the old age caught up with me. It used to be you would sort of play a game on a Sunday and then, you'd feel a bit sore on Monday, but by Tuesday you'd be bouncing around again all happy. But as you get older, you start to realise that you play the game on Sunday and it's Friday and you're still sore.
Did you
retired.
Did you play rugby on a Saturday and then sometimes play American football on the Sunday then?
A couple of times, yeah, a couple of times, sort of in the middle there. Just like hitting people. I'm not a violent person, but
that's what everyone says who does those sports.
Come on, I played against you. Me and you went hooker to hooker in a fucking scrum. You are a violent man. Now, another thing about Paddy, and I think all Paddy Mac would fucking tell me if I didn't mention it. We used to have FIFA days for ages and ages and ages. Somebody would host a FIFA day and we had a wee trophy and it was just a piss up, right? But for years and years, Paddy Maguire was always the bride. Always the bridesmaid, but never the bride. And I even won a FIFA day before he won one. And then when Paddy won one, that was the FIFA days done.
Not at all, Paddy.
Still got
I think I get the blame for losing that in my house as well.
I think so. Oh, they were good. They were the days. They were when we were kind of young and stupid. Some of the carry on at those were fantastic, Yeah. Starting playing at like 10 o'clock in the morning and not being finished at 11, 12 o'clock at night.
I remember I think the thing it was, Penn's right, is that it was random teams that you picked out, right? So somebody would pick a team, right? So I would maybe pick World Cup 2002, and it was every team in that World Cup, and you had to pick. You never badged the team; you had to pull the team out of a hat. And I think a couple of people actually won it with like really shit teams against people who had really fucking good teams as well.
Yeah.
The only I won one and I think I got Brazil, and I get our other mate Paddy Maguire, who's right. They were all good at FIFA, right? He got Honduras, and he took them to the final. I just beat him 1-0. Don't know how I beat him. Till I was absolutely pissed at my face by that point. But aye, they were good. They were good Sundays.
Yeah.
Me and my
Then the
mates
most
used to do stuff
important
like that.
final, and then having had drunk a liter bottle of Captain Morgan's beforehand, all during the day was impressive in itself.
Oh, one and done. I never actually got to defend my title because somebody called one, and I was busy that Sunday, and I never got to defend it. Bastards.
Yeah.
So
I know.
do you still participate or coach in the American football, or is that just done now?
No. I'm the head coach this season. So yeah, I'm actually head coach. So I actually went from I'd retired and was kind of coaching our flag team, which is kind of like a non-contact version for men and women. And really enjoyed it. It was kind of very different and stuff, but it's kind of 5-on-5. And then the team came back last year, and they were really struggling for players. Like, we were really struggling, so they asked me to go back and play one more season. So I played last season, and then our head coach Gareth, he sacked it, went back to coaching soccer, and left the club with no head coach. And then the club came to me and said, "Look, you're one of the most experienced people on the team. Would you be interested in kind of coaching?" And made a few adjustments, negotiated a few things. I thought, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly, and made a load of just wee changes that I'd kind of had realised over the years were needed to be made. And yeah, we're actually doing pretty well. We've kind of won 2, lost 1 so far of our 3 games that we played this season, and we're looking pretty good. Yeah.
And is it quite a competitive thing in Northern Ireland? Is there a lot of teams in the Ulster area, or is it all over Ireland you go?
So it's an All Ireland league. There's teams in Cork, Limerick, Wexford, loads in Dublin, a couple in Belfast. Yeah, the North kind of seems to be the where the newest teams are. Do you know what I mean? So there's the Antrim Stags, which are brand new. They're an amalgamation of a couple of teams that had kind of collapsed. Causeway Giants, I think, are the most recent team, which kind of based out of Coleraine, our neighbours. Yeah, no, it's definitely growing a lot faster in Northern Ireland than I think the rest of Ireland. And the Belfast Trojans, much to my chagrin, would be probably one of the most successful teams in the league. To be honest, they won the Shamrock Bowl, which is Ireland's version of the Super Bowl. They won it 4 times in a row, not that long ago, and are always there or thereabouts in terms of competitive. They probably don't do it in the nicest way, but they figure out ways to be successful, and that's how they keep going.
So, just might as well talk about it, because you're probably waiting for us to mention that you're a massive Liverpool fan as well. But are you safely thinking, how do you feel about winning the league and the fact that Trent Alexander scored the winning goal on Sunday for you?
An Irish person being a Liverpool fan, I'm shocked.
Well, it's either Liverpool or United, to be honest. Not that you see too many United supporters nowadays, in fairness, thankfully. They've been very quiet whilst they're down in 14th. But yeah, look, it's one of those things. I've never been that kind of football supporter that kind of likes to rub it in other people's faces. I follow Liverpool. I like to see us win. I'm also very aware that it's very cyclic. We went there 20 odd years without winning anything without winning the league. And it just those cycles. It's now our cycle. We'll get maybe the next 5 years where we'll be dominant, and then it could be United back in the mix again. So yeah, I'm just making the most and enjoying it while it lasts.
Do you think the manager having a new manager this year has made a difference, or do you think Klopp would have won the league this year?
I think Klopp would have won the league this year, to be honest. Klopp hasn't, he didn't make much in the way of changes. They don't play too dissimilar the way they played under Klopp. They're maybe a wee bit more methodical. I would almost say a wee bit more boring under Slot than what they were under Klopp, which hasn't been as fun to watch, if I'm honest. But it has got the results. But no, look, I think, um, I think there's not many managers that wouldn't have taken that team and been successful with them. Maybe not to the level that Slot has been, but you know, if you'd have given that team to Ten Hag, he'd have won with it. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's been helpful that a lot of teams have come off the boil so quickly this season. Like City had an absolute stinker to start off with. Arsenal are Arsenal. Like I'm saying that they're beating us 1-0, but I expect them to beat us. But then you also expect them to bottle it somehow because it is Arsenal and that's what they've got a history for. And yeah, like other teams have just been all over the place. Like if you had said at the start of the season Palace would be above Manchester United, I'd be over the moon because I'd be thinking that we'd be top 6. Now we're still 12th. we love our 12th place and somehow we're still above certain teams that we have no right to be. Spurs as well, same thing. But yeah, it's been, I was saying to someone earlier, it's been a terrible season, which has helped slot out immensely. And I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I think next season will be more interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, I think as well. I think this Man City team is probably a season too far for them, so they'll have to do massive changes. So we'll see what the fourth or fifth era of Guardiola will be. But I think like Liverpool have taken their chances and they've won the games, unlike Arsenal, who had those chances 2-3 seasons ago and blew it against like Sunderland and was it Sunderland? Middlesbrough? No, Southampton and West Ham and all that, and they've blown the chances. Whereas Liverpool have went quietly about their business. They've won the games, and here they deserve. It's like kind of like when Leicester won it. They did what they had to do, and other teams just didn't march on.
There's a guy in the comments there has made a really good statement. Peyton saying Slot makes more effective substitutions, and that is, look, he does have a way of whenever he's in control of a game, his subs will be more about maintaining that control. Whereas if they're losing, then his subs they're about sort of providing that wee extra spark. That's I think he's hit the nail on the head there with the substitution. So.
Yeah, because they're like the last couple of seasons. I always think Palace were the first team to beat a Klopp Liverpool side at home. We were the last team to beat a Klopp football side at home, which I think is a great useless statistic for us. But it was that little bit of just randomness sometimes about the substitutions Klopp would make. Like you could see sometimes he'd maybe want to go for the result rather than trying to be a bit more conservative. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's exciting, but then when you're trying to chase a league, it's not what you want.
Yeah. Well, that is
now,
that.
Not
it
only
was more exciting. Yeah. Definitely.
Now, not only do you do American football coaching, painting, rugby, and all that nonsense, you also took some wains up Mount Erigo a few weeks ago. Why?
Yeah, did you just take kids up and leave them up a mountain? Because that, as Irish as that sounds, it's just round up some street kids, dump them up a mountain. Make your own way home now, lads.
Yeah. No, that was so I'm a youth worker, been a youth worker for kind of nearly 15 odd years now. And I deliver a wee program through Cooperation Ireland called Future Leaders. And there's a social action element to it. So we, in order to try and raise money for foil search and rescue, we sort of took an idea. There's a company that does a thing called Darkness into Light, and it's like a walk they do around the city. There's a few of them all over the UK, but they basically start walking in the middle of the night, and then they reach their destination just as the sun rises. So we thought we would copy a wee bit of that idea and start climbing Mount Erigo, the highest mountain in Donegal, in the middle of the night, and had planned to reach the summit at sunrise. we miscalculated a wee bit. So we did. We ended up at the summit about 30 minutes before the sun was due up. Um,
Too efficient.
and it was quite windy. It was very, very cold, and yeah, we didn't stay there long. We sort of we saw the sunrise on the way back down. So
Oh,
we did, but
cool.
it was cool. It was very fun. It was very, very dark. There was a point about sort of just as we reached kind of the main sort of there's quite a walk to the bottom of the mountain, and as we reached the bottom of the mountain, it started actually our actually ascent up the actual mountain. The wind picked up, so with about 40, 50 mile an hour winds, it was pitch black. And at that point, I thought, oh, I think this is a bit a bit stupid. I nearly turned back, but all the young people were charging up behind me, going, "Come on, come on, come on, let's go, get up, get up, get up, get up." And we did, and we raised nearly £1,400 for foil search and rescue. So it was pretty cool.
How big is this mountain? Like, what we're talking in meters above sea level and stuff?
700 and something, 730, I think it is.
It's a cunt
Okay.
to get up. The middle part's the worst bit with those stupid fucking steps that they fucking put in. I went up it once and I've done it and I'm not doing it again until the next time. I fucking hated it. But my wife Geraldine's done it about fucking 6 or 7 times. She's like a mountain goat getting up these things now, and I was fucking regretting life's decisions after.
Yeah.
There's a long arsey way before you actually start climbing. You have to walk like 300 miles before you actually get to the fucking before you start climbing up, and it's a fucking pain in the arse.
It used to be a lot worse. That used to be a bog. So you used to have
I
to
know.
walk through like an old peat bog to get to the bottom of the mountain, and it used to sap the legs. Used to sap the strength of your legs. So by the time you got to the mountain, you were sitting going, "I can't go any further." So they spent a load of money and built a path. But the path now, instead of going directly to the start of the mountain, does this big long wind around kind of the back of the mountain before you start climbing. And then, yeah, they've basically built a staircase up the mountain now. But it's all uneven, it's all over the place. You know, if you're doing it during the day, it's grand. Doing it in the middle of the night, not being able to see where your feet are, was quite stupid now I think of it.
See, I've done Snowdon a couple of times in Wales, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And yeah, I think it's the same sort of way that you guys are describing. Obviously, not to boast, it's a lot higher, but it's the same thing that you've got a bastard, like some of them, you've got a bastard long walk that's just gets steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper, but it feels like you're going nowhere because it's just a straight line. And you hit this bit of embankment that's like that. And this is on the easy path. They call it the easy one. I can't, Lamberis or something. It's like that, this bit of embankment. And it's all shingle. And it's like you are scrambling up this thing because if you lose your step, you're blowing your knee out, you're destroying your ankle or something. It's an absolute shithouse. The first time I did it, I went up and down it, pissing cold rain, foggy, couldn't see anything. And me and my mates are like, why are we doing this? This is ridiculous. 3/4 of the way up, this woman overtakes us. And again, mountain goat. She was up and back before we'd reached the top of this shingle thing. And we're like, you are a bitch, fuck off. Like, all these fat blokes trying to struggle up a mountain. This woman's just walking past like, all right, just fuck off.
Yeah.
And probably something that she does before she goes to work as well.
Probably is that a lot of the locals around there do it most days when they've got nothing better to do. Crazy bastards.
Yeah. I remember doing Carntool, which is the highest mountain in Ireland. It's over 1,000 meters, and it's again really big long walk before you even get to like starting to go upwards, up the Devil's Ladder, ominously. And we've done it, and it was great. And we walked down, and as we were walking back, we walked back to the campsite. We were sitting around the campsite, having a few beer, chatting to a few of the guys that were on the way down, and chatting to one guy, and he was like, I was like, oh, how'd you get on? Is that your first time doing it? Whatever. And he says, no, it's my 327th time this year. And we're like,
What's the day?
yeah, I'm going for the record of climbing it every single day for a year.
Crazy.
You're like, what?
How is that even fun? Like, the Snowdon thing, they do a race up and down that path every year. And, like, people get up and down this mountain in, like, under 45 minutes running. And it's like, you must be mental. Like, the slowest time was, I think, 3 hours and 10 minutes. And that's just about my fastest. And it's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy people.
they're fucking lunatics. And did the kids enjoy it then?
Yeah, no, they did. They really did. They enjoyed it. You know, there was obviously plenty of complaining, getting up at the crack, you know, not even the crack of dawn, getting up in the middle of the night. But, you know, they all actually, on the way back and stuff, they all were absolutely buzzing. Yeah, it's a great achievement. You know, they're all 14-year-olds, and many of them had never even thought about climbing a mountain before. So you get that lovely sense of achievement on your way back down. And yeah, they really did. They enjoyed it.
That's a good
Paddy,
thing. Because,
yeah,
go on, sorry.
No, okay, on you go.
Yeah, like you're saying, a lot of kids nowadays, the idea of you say to them, "Do you want to go up and down a mountain?" Their minds are like Everest and K2 and shit. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm going to need oxygen tanks and all of this stuff." And you just say to them, "No, I see over there that looks like that massive hill. That's actually a mountain. We can go up and down it." And perspective's changed, isn't it? And it's actually like, this stuff's on my doorstep. I can do this stuff. I don't have to just stick on my tablet all night.
Yeah. No, my oldest boy Joshua, he actually came with us, but I got into hiking during lockdown. I'm here. I'm in the middle of the Sperrins, so we've caught quite a few sort of mountains kind of around us. And then just for something to do during lockdown, I started hiking. Really got into it, and then started trying to my well, during lockdown, I started trying to get the high point of every county of Ireland.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've 7 left to do, and the idea is once I do them, then I'll go and I'll do Ben Nevis, Scaffold, Pike, and Snowdon, and then that'll be me. I'll be happy with that. None of this going to Everest or any of that crack.
The three peaks over here is always the one they talk about: Scaffold Pike, Snowdon, and Ben Nevis. Like, I've never been that brave, but
not in the same weekend or something. They do it great. They do it in the same 24-hour period or something. Can't
yeah,
you?
you've got to do it in the same day. You got, I think you start at Ben Nevis, you end at Snowdon because Scaffold Pike's on the way down, and you've got to get up and down it rapid, and it's just like, no, that's not fun.
Yeah, no. I like the. It's not. No, makes for really good Instagram post though.
I remember fucking when I was in the army, we did a few bends up in the north of Scotland.
All right, Dunk, we get it.
That was not fucking fun. And shut the fuck up, Casey. That was not fun. I fucking hated that. Mind you, it was nice. I can see far. Oh, great. No.
Just let me shoot
Call
someone.
your Uncle Albert, mate.
So, Paddy, what do you like? You're a busy man, by the sounds of it, right? Fucking youth working, painting models, American football training. What do you do to relax?
Paint models.
Are you still married? Does your wife actually see you during the week?
Yeah. Oh, do you know what, actually? So I used to work for the YMCA as well. And being a youth worker, you do a lot of, well, kind of working with that younger age group. I would have done kind of 4 nights a week. So I'd have been out. I'd have left home at like 10 o'clock, and then not been back until after 10 at night. And I was doing that for 4 nights a week for nearly 10 years. And it was tough. To be honest, it was really tough. And I took a lot of stuff for granted, I think, to be honest, you know. And I changed jobs there last year. And I'm now back to doing Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Still doing youth work. I do a lot of employability stuff with kind of 18, 19-year-olds who kind of left school and haven't got a job yet. But I'm home in the evenings now, and I actually get to see the weigh-ins at night, help out with homeworks, help out with actual kind of the childcare duties.
Babysitting. That's what we call it. Is
Baby.
adult. But it's
No, it's not babysitting when they're yours.
technically it's still babysitting, though, isn't it? Really, it's just babysitting.
It is 100%.
Because I remember like, Geraldine was giving it. She's like, "Why are you got babysitting?" I was like, "Because that's what I'm doing." She went, "But they're your children." But I'm still just babysitting them. Like they have to look after themselves.
Respect. Comment. You're looking
Yeah.
after them.
And I'm sleeping with one of the parents, so it's definitely
Hey.
babysitting.
Hey.
Hey.
That was the last time that I ever slept with her. That was years ago now. Actions have consequences. So, Paddy, when you and Mrs. Paddy are sitting of an evening, when you're not American football and gaming, throwing children up mountains, what do you like to nibble on? What's your wee snack of choice?
Recently there's what are they? Cracked black pepper cashews from Tesco's.
You've went posh.
I know.
Yeah, no,
Fuck up
just
this
the salted nut mix.
No, just cashews, not the assorted one. So it'll,
And
oh
when you're
god.
washing, when you've finished eating your black cracked pepper cashews from Marks and Spencer's, what Marks and Spencer's drink do you like to wash it down with, Patrick? I think Patrick's been sucked into a black hole.
Because you've mentioned Marks and Spencers, that's too posh for us, bro.
Yeah, that is. Especially for a man from the north who lives near Derry. Like that's shocking that he's shopping in Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah, you can't be shopping in English
No,
shops.
can't. That's against everything he believes in, and people die. How's Palace getting on now?
1-1.
Yay! See,
We'll
Arsenal.
still probably lose. And to be honest with you, I don't give a shit about tonight. But I'll take a point.
Yeah, what if he's got 3 points? Where does that put you in the league? 11?
Probably still 12. Let's just do a refresh. Oh no, that'd bump us up above. Take us to 11th. Respectable 11th. Jesus Christ. We aim so high at Crystal Palace, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean that's why Arteta will not win anything because he's a shit manager.
Yeah.
I could do something with that Arsenal team, and I'm shit at Football Manager.
I jokingly called him because I've got an Arsenal fan mate as a fan. An Arsenal fan as a mate. Everyone's got at least one out of pity for him. He was one, like after his first season, I think it was second season, they got done by Brentford. And he was raging. He was going fucking mental. And he sort of erred on getting Wenger out. It's like, we should have never gotten rid of Wenger. And I was like, oh, but now you can say Alteta instead of Arteta. And it's stuck. So we call him Alteta.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. We're a bunch of shithouses, me and my mates, to each other about football. Like, I've got a group, there's like 15 of us in there. All we do is hunt each other's teams off. Just
what's it do though?
And then actually for internationals, we'll get together and support England apart from the guy who's an Arsenal fan. Guess what team he follows during the internationals?
Spain.
Netherlands.
Why? Because of Bergkamp?
Don't. I'm assuming so, but he never really gives us a solid answer, and it's frustrating as fuck. And yeah, he's just Arsenal in the Netherlands, and he's Ghanaian. So when Ghana are playing, I support Ghana to piss him off.
Brilliant. It's that form of pettiness that makes true friendship. So
Standard, yeah, it's what I think. It's what my missus doesn't get, and probably Jerry might be the same. That when you've got bloke mates, you don't ask each other, "Oh, how's your day been? Oh, what's going on with your car? What's this?" It's like, all right, cunt. What have you done today? You shit yourself recently, and just stuff like that. Yeah. You don't ask the proper stuff.
And alive, why can I murder on Shagger? But yeah, it's
yeah,
like,
exactly. Oh, is your dad? How's your dad doing? I heard he's sick. Is he dead yet? Can I marry your mum? Stuff like that.
You call me dad.
Yeah, just shithousery. Have we lost him completely?
I think so.
Oh dear, that's all right. We'll get him back.
Yeah.
We'll get him back.
I think maybe he's either internet's broken in the north or he's ran out of juice on his phone. Because it looked as though he picked up his phone.
I haven't been able to see him.
Have you not?
No, no.
Don't worry about that, Casey. As you know, YouTube will show all and hide nothing.
Exactly. All belts and braces and all of that.
Yeah.
So, how are we doing in the chat? I see Graham still in there. Is he still in there, Brev?
You just put in always funny. Like, we had a dynamic called Yoda because he was that ugly that he looked like Yoda. That was his nickname.
You know what? I always hear these nickname chats. I call one of my best mates. I've known him for years, Kieran. I call his brother Gordon because he drives a train and he's grumpy as fuck.
Oh, brilliant.
I called him it once. He went fucking ballistic, and it just stuck. It's like as soon as you bite,
Yeah,
got you. That's it.
we were in a team meeting yesterday, and somebody was giving up. Somebody new had joined, so they're giving themselves an introduction, as they always fucking do. And they mentioned their pets, right? And I was like, "Yeah, we've got a Labrador. His name's Duncan." And then one of the boys was like, "Ah, Dunk the dog." And I was like, "Don't bite." And he's like, "I'll come up and put you out to the toilet later." And I just kept going woof woof.
It's got to be done, man. There you go. We have a mate called Shit Matt because here are two Matts, and he's the worst.
We had a guy in our regiment, and his nickname was the Count. Now, the reason his nickname was the Count, not that he was good at counting, but when he first joined the regiment, him and one of the other guys went out on a night out, and he met a lady, and went back to the lady's house and engaged in some activity with the lady. Now, they had woke up late, and they ran downstairs, and my mate Paddy went round, not Paddy we had on, but another guy called Paddy, turned round to the Count and said, "Did you go down in that bud last night?" He's like, "No." He's like, "You did, didn't you?" He went, "No." He kept denying it, and he's like, "Look, I know you went down in there." He's like, "How do you know?" He's like, "Because there's blood all over your face." From then on in, his nickname was the Count. And then when people asked him what his name was, he had to say that his name was the Count, and then they had to explain the story of why that was the rules.
Army and sport teams are the worst for that because it's just free license to take the piss. It's glorious, but at the same time, it's another reason I'm glad I was never in any of those institutions. In my football team, right, we had this lad called Will, and bless him, he'd always turn up. He was always at training. He was always there on Sundays. Gave everything he fucking could. And me and him were the two worst players on the team, so we would always fight for competition at left back. Won't let Paddy rejoin. Quit out and then try and come back in again, mate.
Yeah, close your app out completely and kill
Yeah.
it completely to your phone and try that way.
So me and Will, worst two players in the team. Bless him. Will one day turns up in this pair of trainers, a pair of boots even, and there were some random unbranded, not even Sports Direct. I don't know what they were. They might have been like Pumas or something. Not Pumas, just some shit pair of boots. And everyone was going in on him. Everyone, even I joined in because I was like, I'm wearing Nikes. Fuck you. I'm not poor. But bless him, this other guy in the team, Joe, started switching on him. And I looked down. Joe's wearing a pair of Sondico boots from Sports Direct, and he's trying to cuss this kid for wearing Pumas. And I went, "Shut the fuck up, Sonda Joe." Everyone stopped, looked at this guy's feet, and were like, "Oh shit, that's your name now." And he was fucking furious.
Yeah,
But
sometimes you need just to keep the mouth shut.
yep.
There he is back. Did you put
Paddy,
50 pence in the meter?
I had to stick 50p in the meter. Do apologise.
No, you're alright, Paddy. So, we were just talking about nicknames there and sports teams. Have you got any good sport nicknames from anybody that you want to shame on the YouTube or the Instagram?
We did. Well, I'll not name him, but we did have a guy who had a similar one to yours, except we called him Nosferatu. So, similar story to be honest. But yeah, Nosferatu he got for years for a fucker.
for him. How's my Mordheim stuff going? Going good, Bray. Painting a rat ogre. My witch hunters are cool. Drop me a message and I'll chat to you about how to make them up for cheap and easy.
So, Paddy, what are you painting right now?
Oh, so I tried. You know the video we discussed about the what do you call it? Base coating with black and then having that the grey.
Yeah.
Might need a wee bit of practice at that, to be honest.
Right.
It didn't work out great. I don't know. A second to try and wedge this thing up a wee bit better.
And are you still using Citadel? Are you still using Citadel paints?
Yeah,
Base.
I am, unfortunately.
Colour Forge, mate. Colour Forge are good. Cheaper, more in the tin, and better coverage, I find.
It's great. Yeah.
Right.
And they're actually on Amazon Prime as well. So you can get them next day.
And that's not a plug. Other brands are available.
White's good. I'll tell you what, I recently used this because I rarely base coat white. And the other day, my kid had a turn up to school dressed as a robot day, right? And it was a pain in the ass. He didn't want to go dressed as a robot, but I shoved 2 cardboard boxes on him. One I sprayed lead belcher, and the other I sprayed with this. And it looked like shit. But the white over the cardboard box was...
Yeah, Colour Forge, Paddy, is you should be using them because there has something has happened with the Citadel sprays that have made them absolutely shit.
There you go. Size difference for a start, and this is usually a couple of quid cheaper than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were at Salute. I did chat to them, but they weren't interested in supporting us.
Oh, why not? We are awesome.
To be honest with you, I don't know what I said. I think I just chatted absolute gibberish.
Mind you, you were probably about 15 pints deep at that point.
I think, but at that point, I think my face was as red as my ears are now. So yeah.
So the minute I bought that Hell's Last box, just because it was a kind of new release for the Militarum. I really don't like the aesthetic of Krieg. I find that kind of World War II, World War One sort of aesthetic quite boring, to be honest. They're very dark, and a wee bit boring because of that. Which I know I'll probably get loads of abuse for because people love them, but I'm not one of those people. So, and then I have a friend who's 3D printing me a torso part of a Hive Tyrant. Because with the Hive Tyrant, when you buy it, you get enough pieces to make 3 of the different ones, but only 1 torso piece. So I have a friend who's I have a normal Hive Tyrant, just a standard kind of armored Hive Tyrant. And then I got the 3D print for the torso piece, which I'm going to make a winged tyrant. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's like that's the 3D print with the head that comes with. Remember, and that little piece there, and with the wings and all the little bits that you get along with it. So. Yeah, it's crazy. I think I need to invest.
I will say that's a frustrating. Sorry, mate. I will say that as a frustrating thing at the moment, like you've just touched on. You get enough parts to build 3, but only 1 main middle bit to connect it all. Like a couple of quid extra, and you can say to make 2 out of the 3. Makes sense, but
yeah,
fuckers. So how have you enjoyed and approached the Tyranids then? Is it that you, like you say, you're going on contrast with them, or you pick made your own scheme, pick something?
No, I went total kind of box art. So it is. Spray painted them with Wraithbone, and kind of I used what was the one I used? One of those pinky contrast paints.
Oh yeah.
Not sure what one it was. I'm looking at the thing here to see if we can figure it out. Yeah, so painted it pink and then sort of used Nagaroth Knight then for the carapace armor. So it is. The idea was to the idea was to get them ready to play. So I went on again, much like Duncan was saying, watched loads of YouTube videos, and looked at kind of lots of like the speed painting videos, and used a lot of that as my kind of. I thought I'll get these rattled out really really quickly. Um, use the sort of contrast paints, wee bit of layer, um, wee bit of dry brushing, and then I would have a combat patrol that was painted and we could play with. And then the other models, you kind of so all these other models have came along through the combat patrol magazines.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my time now a wee bit. I've again started I've started base coating with black now, and then so I did start dry brushing, kind of just wraith brown over the top of the black to kind of create that. But I'm going to try. I tried recently there to do it with another spray can. Hang on.
Yeah, I mean that video that I sent you from Mediocre Hobbies, he showed that's the go-to video I do for doing like a double base paint or prime spray. Is that's the that's the video that I would use. That'll be my go-to video.
The
Yeah, don't know if you can see that very well, but it kind of worked, kind of didn't. That's
I think it's just like anything, Paddy. I think it's just like see when you start doing it more, then the better you get to being doing it.
yeah, yeah. It's you're training yourself with that second coat. You're training yourself to kind of be a lot more sparing than what you are with your first coat, and that the distance and stuff is quite difficult to gauge. And you spraying and you're thinking, I'm getting no paint on this model at all here, so you naturally go that wee bit closer, and then you end up with an overspray. It's
I
just that sort of getting used to it, I suppose.
I
I
and
have
I
been. That's sorry, don't go on.
and I think what see if you were to change your primer sprays, I think you'll notice that how it dries differently as well. Like I have noticed a massive change in how it like when you do that double spray, and if you think you've put on too much, it with the colour forge, it doesn't. It's not too much because it does dry perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I base coated something earlier in the black, and I have painted over it now, but the black covers amazingly. I haven't used the white as an overspray. I did do some. I tried doing the whole highlighting using sprays a little while ago, and I don't think I got it quite right. But I've done it with an airbrush a little while ago as well, and that is pretty good. Like using some white ink, but it is just you just got to try and gauge it and get it the spray area right. That's the difficult bit. But once you've got it and you know it, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend actually, so Taylor, I don't know if you're tuning in, Taylor, but if you are, shout out. She's an amazing tattooist, but she's also the best painter and hated it. Really didn't like it. I had contemplated investing in an airbrush, just to try it. I like some of the techniques and stuff, and then I was just like, nah.
Yeah. You know what? Again, like we were saying earlier, you don't have to break the bank with them. I got one off eBay for like 30 quid, and it's primarily meant to be used for cake decorating, but the same shit. It's not. It comes with a little inbuilt compressor. You just strap the brush directly to. Takes up no room. USB charged. Again, we're not. I'm not sponsored by this company. I don't even know who the fuck they are because it's some Chinese thing from Amazon. But it's even if you want to give it a go, something like that's always a great idea. Like you're not having to invest in all of the space and the air extractors and all of that shit. So I
Yeah.
probably have breathed in quite a bit of paint recently.
Green Man, is that some sexual thing that you're wanting to show us? Like he says, I'll show you lads some fun stuff with colour force cans. Sometimes when we are all free, either is it going up the bum or are we getting high off the cans? Green Man, what is it?
Well, if it's getting high off cans, we've all been doing that for our whole life. Like,
That's why
Yeah.
I'm not a brain surgeon anymore.
well, some of my fondest memories of doing this when I was younger was being in a baking hot room in winter, super gluing Space Marines together, getting them stuck to my head, and just getting so high on glue fumes that I didn't know what was going on. And I kind of miss those days a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong, the headaches were horrendous, but
I was built.
Yeah. You had,
I was building stuff and I was using this to like that
Ooh.
Tamiya cement, and Geraldine was like, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's the glue." And she's like, "That is strong." And I was like, "You should smell it away over there." She's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "It's the glue."
oh,
Come on, a Scottish person high off glue. Yeah,
From the rim to the bag of glue.
exactly.
oh dear.
Right, guys, I'm going to have to call it time there because I am absolutely dying with this cough. Yeah, Paddy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, man.
Yeah, just,
The one thing I want to say to you, man, is fucking start posting your stuff on Instagram or even make up a wee other
I
page for you and
do.
your sons.
I do. I have a Facebook page. I just haven't really sort of plugged it enough. But Paddy the Painter on Facebook.
You don't not to
Um,
use Facebook, Instagram. You
no,
fucking
I know.
friend.
I need to start using Instagram. Start posting some stuff. Well, I've stuff to post now actually. So, um, I've all my Acer Militarum stuff now. So I'm gonna start. I will start posting them and stuff and start letting people see some of them.
I
And
definitely.
it's my
Like,
the
because
thing
when
is,
people you start to build connections with different people, like
mm,
I think like there's a couple of guys that I reach out to for help with painting and stuff, and I know there's a few people that Casey reach out to as well, and I think that will help your journey in the community as well with different techniques and all that sort of stuff as well as that community that is there. Do you know what I mean? So definitely, even if you set up another Instagram page for your painting. So that's why we set up this Inquisition page because we used to do it on our own pages, but then our pages were getting like chocker block with stupid videos, and then that's why we made this page. So
yeah,
yeah, man, definitely, I'd like to see more of your stuff and not just the shite that you send me that then I
it's,
post up your ad. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, well, I'll let you into a secret, and this is a weird thing. I really enjoy painting. I love painting models. Yes, and find it like, oh god, it rags me. I always over egg it. You know, I always sort of end up putting far too much corpse grass, and start putting kind of like 25 mil bases, and I have 4 skulls and 6 pieces of corpse grass and little bits of wire that I've kind of twisted to make it look like it's barbed wire, and I always over egg it. So I've always been really models. I think whenever you're posting models, when they're a really well painted model, but then they're on kind of just a plain white base or a plain black base, I always find it a bit sort of eh. So I actually just recently went through and kind of based everything that I've painted so far, which were some of those later photos that I'd sent. And I was really, really mindful that less is more. So I'm a wee bit better at basing now, so I'll probably be a wee bit more handy with the photos now that I have stuff to show.
Perfect. Right, folks, I think that's us for this week. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Paddy. We'll definitely try and get you back on again.
Yes,
And
man.
maybe
Thanks for having me.
maybe with a better internet connection as well. And maybe when Crystal Palace are top of the league. Do you know what I mean?
Hey.
Casey, any words of wisdom that you would like to pass on before we finish up for this evening?
FA Cup this weekend. Yay! I'll get in. I'll be in London, and I might. You'll have to forgive me. My account is going to go from posting Warhammer to just being pissed and watching football, and expect some rants.
So,
Yeah.
folks, just these normal weekend posts then, really.
Pretty much, yeah. Just in Wembley rather than Sellers Park. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll be fishing, so I'll be posting up some fishing pictures.
Hey,
Hey.
Cods.
Folks, next week we have the Sisters of Eldar next week, and then that is April finished, and we've got another exciting May coming up as well. Mind to follow our sponsors, Orange Brushes, Introduction, Capital Letters for 10% off, and we'll see you all next week, folks. Au revoir.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, Paddy.
Everybody.